Welcome, friends. This is Dr. Rimalai welcoming you on behalf of Legal Breeze for yet another program on the topic relating to the latest agricultural reforms. Particularly, we will be discussing about an important act. This is called Farmers Produce Commerce Trade Promotion and Facilitation of Trade Act. So you can simply call this Farmers Produce Trade Facilitation Act. We will be discussing the important objectives of this act, what is the constitutional mandate, background of this act, what are the mechanism available, including the dispute resolution mechanism, enforcemental mechanism, to what extent the mechanism will be efficacious, what are the advantages and disadvantages. Finally, before we conclude, we may also throw certain constitutional aspect, throw light on the constitutional aspect or constitutional validity of this act. So, with these things, I welcome you all for this program. First, let us go through constitutional mandate. What is the aspect or what is the approach of our constitution relating to this particular subject matter? Generally, prima facie speaking, the state governments have been given more powers relating to agriculture, farmers, farmer welfare, all these things. Now, if you refer Article 48, Directive Principles of State Policy, yes, it talks about modernization of agriculture, protection of milking animals, biodiversity, all these things. There is a recent amendment in the constitution, namely Article 43B. This is a very important one. Accidentally here and there it is mentioned in this particular act is concerned. What they call it, Agricultural Cooperative Society or Farmers Producer Organization, FPO. So this is the constitutional background or constitutional mandate. Now let us come back to this, how this act has come. People claim this is a big historical deal. First time it is done in this history of India, all these things. In fact, this is myth, totally a myth. There are states like Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, and few more states, if I am not wrong, have given all these facilities much before the enactment of this particular legislation by the government of India. So please remember this. That's the first myth. Second, if you ask me as a constitutional expert, this is at the best a colorable legislation, a doctrine of colorable exercise under the pretension or under the garb of promoting farmers' trade facilitation or regulating the farmers' produce trade. The central government may have some powers to regulate the interstate trade and commerce. Nobody disputed it. But in the name of regulating interstate trade aspect of farmers' produce, what is the mandate or what is the necessity of the central government to interfere into the state government's affairs? Particularly, it regulates the intra-trade aspects relating to the farmers' produce also. So this is where the Supreme Court may raise its hands against the constitutional validity of this particular legislation is concerned. Secondly, this is very most important. The tax powers are also equally divided. Not only the subject matter of legislation, but the taxation has also been specifically divided in addition to the subject matter of general legislation. If you have a plain reading of Article 248 Clause 2 will make it clear all these things. And you have a separate entry for general legislation and tax legislation is concerned. Taxation power is concerned. Now under the garb of regulating the interstate trade and commerce relating to the farmers' produce or farmers' food stuff, whatever you may call it. Now this government makes it very clear through this statute that no taxes or other aspects or other financial pecuniary things can be levied or imposed upon the transaction which takes place under this particular act is concerned. So are you not entrenching into this state government's powers on levying taxes on the agricultural produce sale? Please remember, even income from agricultural aspect also leviable, taxable only by the state government. But there are certain constitutional amendments have taken place. But this government has completely ignored the constitutional reality. How can you regulate through a law a power which has been granted by the constitution to the state governments? State governments are sovereign in their own way. As a power which has been granted, conferred, vested by the constitution, the fundamental law of the land, upon the state government, how it can be curtailed through an ordinary law of the parliament? That's another question which the constitutional expert needs to analyze all those things. However, it doesn't mean that we do not welcome this act. Yes, there are certain welcomeable facts in this act. Farmers are liberated, people are calling it. Though for Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, it's not the case. The farmers have been more empowered, they have been given more facilities, and they can compete. But still problems are happening here and there. We can't deny that. Then another aspect is concerned. All the interstate as well as intrastate transactions are to be taxed under the CGST. And all the interstate transaction shall be taxed under IGST. Whether no tax, cess or other charges can be leviable, this provision is applicable to the GST. Government has to clarify this. Interestingly, this act also confers overriding power to this particular act. So that means you are overriding the CGST Act, IGST Act and all other state legislations. We do not know. A clarification is needed. An interpretation is needed from the highest court of law. We need to wait for all those things. These are the few constitutional questions or constitutional tests the act has to pass. The act necessarily should pass it. So that is on the aforestated grounds, the virus of the act can be checked. Now let us come back to these important objects of this act. What this act speaks about? What is the act is willing to achieve, intending to achieve? First it says it wants to remove the barriers. What sort of barriers? It is only tariff barriers or non-tariff barriers. You are not clear about it. And the act says it wants to promote competitive alternate channel to promote farmers' trades, to facilitate the trade of farmers' produce. What is this alternate competitive channel you are promoting? Is it through yet another public sector undertaking through the central government? The answer is no. You want to encourage the private sector, no doubt about it. But what is the mechanism, safeguard mechanism that the farmers will not be abused? Farmers are guaranteed. That aspect is slightly missing in this particular act is concerned. Forget about the MSP, which we do not speak about it for the time being. That's a separate subject matter. I will address you in a separate lecture about all those things. Now the act says, so you want to remove these barriers. Second thing, you want to promote an alternative competitive channel to promote or facilitate farmers' produce trade. Okay. How are you going to do this? First it says there is something called electronic trade transaction system, facilitation system or platform, whatever you may call it. So through electronic mode, yes, you can do that. There is no doubt about it. You can do this. But for that it declares these are the trade areas, these are all the non-trade areas, these are the traders, all these things. What is the mechanism? How are you fixing the accountability of these traders who are doing trade through this electronic trading system? That's a $1 billion question. It says the modality will be worked out in the future. Okay. First you work out the modalities, bring the rules, make it, have a debate and work out the feasibility of the enforcement and all these things. Then you should have brought this act into force. It shows that there is no clear-cut planning on the part of the government just to say to the international investors that we have brought all these legislations, reforms, or to get some scores to do ease of doing business or competitive environment, something like that. It seems that the act could have been brought in such a way. Because what you are intending to be delivered, first you should work out the modalities. Because this is a very important one for which you cannot play with the lives of the millions of the farmers. This cannot be trial and error, this cannot be experimented. But doesn't mean that we shall not move towards the change. Change is inevitable. We should use the technology to leverage the advantage of every sector. Certainly, farm sector is also an important sector. We need to promote the trade. It says that traders should make the amount within the stipulated time, that is maximum 3 days, 70% of the amount, remaining 30% within a month, something like that. Failing of which, what is the mechanism? The trader will be penalized, including the recovery of amount. Okay, who is going to enforce this? Again, you need to depend upon the state government. Without getting the consent and consensus of the state government, how are you going to implement this? It says that the subdivisional magistrate will appoint the conciliators. Okay, there shall be minimum 2 plus chairman and maximum 4 plus chairman. That means odd number, 5, maximum strength. You didn't fix the qualifications of the conciliator. And they say maximum within a month the judgment had to be delivered. There is an appeal also available. This appellate authority shall be nominated by the additional collector or collector. So subdivisional magistrate and district magistrates are burdened to take the task. Whether they are equipped, whether they have the expertise, you all know such a similar mechanism has been given under the Forest Rights Act. No state have implemented this Forest Rights Act in true letter and spirit of this act particularly. Supreme Court has issued notices for non-complying this act. So that is a different aspect, but this is totally different. The entire livelihood of the farmers is depending upon all these things. So it defines what is a farmer, who is a trader, okay, what is a trade area, what is a scheduled farm good, what is a foodstuff, all these things, it's okay. So this is the big problem. When you are going to recover, and whether the recovery is subjected to interest. Say example, I am a farmer, I am selling my product today for a particular price. You will be paying me after 3 months, maybe after the appeal, all other things are over. By that time it may be 3 to 6 months when it comes to my hands. Will it be with the interest or without interest? Is there any compensation payable to me? The answer is no. According to this act is very silent about all these things. So appellate authority, all these things. What is another remedy? Maximum. The trader will be penalized from ranging 25,000 or maximum of 5 lakh rupees. On the other hand, 50,000 to 10 lakh rupees. And when there is a continuing contravention of these provisions of this act, maybe 5,000 to 10,000 rupees, depending upon the gravity of these things. Yes, penalization is permitted. But to what extent that will solve the problem of the farmer? Okay, that is the answer which we need to seek. Again, there is a collective bargaining. The trader can appoint a trader can nominate a conciliator, and the farmer can also nominate a conciliator. When they fail, the subdivisional magistrate himself on behalf of this farmer can nominate the conciliator. But what is the knowledge of the farmer relating to the qualification, eligibility, all these things about the conciliator, which we do not know? First, let us educate about all these things to the farmers. Let us create an effective enforcemental mechanism as well as dispute settlement mechanism. Because in India, going to the court itself is viewed as a punishment. And that is why unruly people are winning over those who are law abiding, those who are following the rules. That scenario should never come into picture. So we do not know, this is the trial and error which for the experimentation purpose they have brought out. But we believe more safeguards are required to ensure that the price is being paid to the farmers then and there. There shall be a guarantee. Failure of which the state should compensate. You may recover it from the trader, that's a different issue. But state should step into the shoes of the traders and put to compensate the loss suffered by the farmers. Unless that guarantee is given in this act, I'm sure it may not win the confidence of the farmers. First, let us educate the farmers, that's very important. It doesn't mean that we don't welcome. We welcome the changes. Necessarily, changes should come. Because how long you can keep on telling the farmers as weaker? No, this is a 70 years old theory. Our farmers are becoming more progressive. You should be equip them with technology. You should enlighten them and you should enable them. This is an enabling provision. Certainly, we welcome this. But what we are worrying about is the enforcemental mechanism and the review mechanism should be more efficacious and more friendly to the farmers. Maybe we will hope all these things will be addressed in the rules. God bless you all. Jai Hind.